Welcome into Pigskin Perspectives. It is conference championship week. Only 4 teams remain in the hunt for the Lombardi Trophy. We will know by the end of Sunday who will be playing for that trophy. And we have 4 very interesting candidates left for the most prestigious prize in American football. Welcome into Pigskin Perspectives. I'm your host, as always, Nick Burt. What a weekend we have ahead. 2 games, both on Sunday, I think are going to be very intriguing in their own right. Both games have their own storylines to go on them. There's a lot going on. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the early game. It is the AFC Championship at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It is the number 1 seed Baltimore Ravens playing host to the number 3 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore Ravens coming off that I won't say it's a full blowout win of the Houston Texans, but it was a pretty dominating performance. The Kansas City Chiefs coming off their first road win in the Patrick Mahomes era, on a playoff road win, I should say, against the Buffalo Bills. That Bills missed extra point, missed field goal, I should say. It sucked. It sucked for everybody in Buffalo, everybody associated with the Bills. We got 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league right now going head to head. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Both teams pretty good in the receiving groups, I'd say. I think they're both top-ish of the league. Both defensive lines very good. Both offensive. I'd say the Ravens' offensive line's a little bit better. But this is going to be, I think, a game with the coach who takes the best calculated risks will win this game. Because I think this is going to be a back and forth game. I think both quarterbacks have the talent to make that happen, to go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. I don't think each defense has the right amount to keep up, I guess I would say, with that. So I'm expecting a higher scoring game. I'm not saying it's going to be 53-52, but I'm saying like 35-28 is a real possibility. And this game is going to be decided on calculated risks that are successful and defensive stops. Getting defensive stops is going to be huge in this game. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, both top quarterbacks in the league right now. Seeing them go head-to-head for a berth at the Super Bowl, it's going to be entertainment. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes already has multiple Super Bowls in his back pocket. Lamar Jackson always got to ask the question, not getting past the divisional round, basically. So this is uncharted territory for Lamar Jackson and all the Baltimore Ravens, I'd say. John Harbaugh, obviously, not, he's familiar with this scenario. It's been 11 years, I think, since they last went to the Super Bowl, when they won against Jim Harbaugh in the San Francisco 49ers. It's tough to predict this game because, like I said, I think it's going to be back and forth performances, and it's going to be what team can get the defensive stop. And right now, if I have to strictly choose the team I think is going to get that defensive stop, I honestly think it's the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. The Chiefs' defense kind of been off this year, if we're honest. I think Baltimore finds a way to get it done. It absolutely pains me to say that, because I absolutely hate Baltimore. I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl. When given the option of the Chiefs and the Ravens, I'd rather have neither go. But given I have to pick somebody here, I'm rooting for the Chiefs to get there. I think it ends up being the Ravens. I think they're just They're kind of the hotter team at the moment. The Chiefs haven't been all they could be this year. They kind of turned it on a bit in the playoffs. I still think their struggle with the Bills kind of says a little bit about them. I know the Bills were hot, but I mean, yeah. I think the Ravens end up being in Vegas and going to the Super Bowl. I think that's the way it's going to happen. And then on the night-ish game, 6:30, technically a night game, I guess. It's a 3:30 kickoff in Santa Clara as the host San Francisco 49ers face off against the number 3 seed Detroit Lions. Detroit, they haven't been in this situation since the 91 season. Heck, they haven't won 2 straight playoff games since 1957. This is very much uncharted territory for them. The 49ers, this is constant now. They seem to be here every year. They were here last year. They lost to the Eagles in Philadelphia. They are back now. They're facing off against the Lions. They have home field advantage. It's going to be an interesting game because it seems like Deebo Samuel is going to play. I don't think he's going to be at 100% at all. I think he's good enough to play. I don't think he's good enough to be at his best. I think that's pretty much a given. He is a very much key piece to this 49ers offense. This line secondary has been quite awful since October. Quite awful. The 49ers overall, I think, are just the better team here. But the Lions, I feel like, still have something to say for themselves. It's been a mostly up year for them. They've had some downs where you're like, what is this team doing, basically? But, hey, they've gotten to this point, and I don't think any Lions fan truly expected this year to get to this point. I think they were happy with winning the division and then winning a playoff game, and then whatever happens there is house money. I wonder now that we're here, does this change any way the fans view how the season played out depending on how this result goes? If they lose this game and they're blown out, what does, the fans look at the season look like, I guess I would say? Obviously, you got to the NFC Championship. That should be a huge accomplishment for a team that hasn't been there since 91. The big factor in this game, I think, is going to be coaching. Kyle Shanahan loves to control the game. If Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson can take that away from them and have the Lions in control of this game, the Lions have a shot. The Packers somewhat gave the blueprint of what to do last week. Run it. Throw a few passes. Hopefully the passes work out. Run. They've exposed the 49ers run defense as being not great. The Lions have 2 very good running backs in Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery. If those 2 get a lot of carries in this game and can get stuff done, I think the Lions have a real shot. It's the other side of the ball I'm worried about for the Lions. Their defense, like I said, their secondary, quite awful. Their pass rush has been better. They're not as bad as they were. They're still not great. If the Lions can get pressure on Brock Purdy, like the Packers did last week, this is going to be a very tough game for San Francisco. But if the Lions' defensive line just can't get home and isn't creating pressure and letting Brock Purdy just have all day, Brock Purdy's going to throw 1,000 yards on you. Not literally, but you get my point. He is going to dominate this game. If the Lions can somehow just put out a manageable performance and somewhat take the playbook of what the Packers did last week I'm not saying take it fully because the Packers lost, obviously. I think the Lions have a shot in this game. But given that, I don't think the Lions are winning. I think this was a year too soon, and I truly hope for them that this isn't a mirage and next year just back in the bins, basically. I truly hope this isn't a mirage because it feels like they're building up to something, but also I would 100% not be surprised at all if this is a flash in the pan and then next year they're back to, 6-11 next year. I don't think that's truly gonna happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. There is a bit of history, though, with this game. I mentioned Lions haven't won 2 straight playoff games since 1957. Given that, the Lions have never won 3 straight playoff games. They've never won 4. Back in 1957, the division, I think it was technically the divisional round, the first round of the playoffs, the Lions traveled to San Francisco, Kezar Stadium, face off against the 49ers. 49ers, huge lead at halftime. They were basically celebrating already. The Lions came back in that game and won it. Then they went on to the NFL championship game, played against the Cleveland Browns at Briggs Stadium in Detroit, won that game quite easily. The Lions obviously won the title because the NFL championship was the title. Again, the Browns don't have a shot at the Super Bowl, so we're not going to see a repeat of that. Well, I mean, technically, the records were left in Cleveland and they didn't go to Baltimore, but you see what I'm somewhat alluding to. Again, it was 1957. That really has nothing to do. I think that's more of a fun fact than, hey, this has happened before. Let's take a look at it. Hopefully, the Lions put on a good performance, but honestly, I think the 49ers a blowout-ish game. By blowout-ish, take a look at the Houston-Baltimore score from that last week. That's kind of what I mean by blow-off-ish. Because it's not a full blowout, but it's not really close either. I think the 49ers kind of control this game and win quite easily. So given that preview, that's what's on the deck for this weekend of the National Football League, the Conference Championship weekend. We will know the Super Bowl on Monday. I'm going to do a whole coaches show next week during that bye week. But I felt like I did have to mention this in passing because, it was such huge news. The Los Angeles Chargers hiring Jim Harbaugh, going technically back to the Chargers. He played 2 years there, 99 and 2000, right at the end of his career. So Jim Harbaugh makes the jump once again from college football to pro football. And truly, it feels like this was the only landing spot, if we're truly honest. I don't think Harbaugh was going to come back to the NFL if he didn't automatically have a shot at going to the Super Bowl. The Chargers team needs help. Just not a ton, but they do need some pieces. But they have a Super Bowl level quarterback in Justin Herbert. I know Austin Eckler, I believe, is a free agent, but I kind of wouldn't be surprised if he's back. This feels like the right fit for the Chargers. They were looking for somebody that has had experience getting a team to a Super Bowl, which Harbaugh has. He obviously made it with the 49ers, played against his brother. They lost, but hey, he built Michigan back. He built Stanford back. He built San Diego back, the Toreros, not the Chargers. Obviously, he's hoping to build up the Chargers now. I'm 100% will not be surprised if the Chargers win the division next year. I truly believe that is a true possibility. If they can just fix a few problems on defense, I would say. I think they'll be fine. I think they can win the division, especially if the same Kansas City Chiefs keep kind of regressing, like we kind of saw this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens a little bit more this year, which very much opens the door for the Los Angeles Chargers. We don't know what Denver's doing at quarterback, given that Russell Wilson most likely gone. Sean Payton, a great coach, but didn't seem like he had the right quarterback. So here we are. Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. It is a new era in Los Angeles as the Chargers look for relevancy in a town that, honestly, if you ask anybody in that town, probably doesn't even remember that Chargers are there. They probably still think the Raiders are there, and the Raiders left in '94. So given that, that's going to wrap up this conference championship preview episode of Pigskin Perspectives. Thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, hit like, hit subscribe, tell anybody you know about it if you really liked it. We will be back, let's just say Monday, maybe Tuesday, for another episode of Pigskin Perspectives. Recapping this, we'll do a quick look at the Super Bowl. And then probably Thursday next week, I'm hoping all the head coaching hires are done by then. I know the Commanders look like they're holding out for Ben Johnson. So if the Lions make the Super Bowl, that's not happening for another 2 weeks. But if they don't hire anybody, we know who the hire is going to be. So given that, thank you so much for watching. We will see you again very soon for a Super Bowl preview episode of Pigskin Perspectives.